Okay, now moving on to the most important one and the coolest one. And the reason why I love n8n is because we can do we can call workflows. It's just super cool stuff. So what we have here is a personal assistant where we have calendar agent, research agent, project agent, email agent. So obviously this is not the workflow or this isn't sending an email. This is a tool that can send an email. So let's say we came in here and we asked it to send an email to, sorry, you guys can't see that, 88 at gmail.com saying, hey. Okay, so it's going to hit this tool, which is an email agent, right? And then it responds back to the main agent. And then it says to us, I sent the email with a quick greeting to Nate. Let me know if there's anything else you need. So that's all that we see on this execution. But in here, what we're doing is we're linking this to another tool called email agent. As you can see, if we go to the logs of the agent, it sent off this query to the email agent, which is to Nate Herc, subject, quick greeting, and then the actual body is, hey, just wanted to say hi. And then, so that's pretty much how that worked, right? So we see that query come over, and then we go to the inbox or the email agent, and we should see the new execution come in. So my apologies because this credential isn't working, so it didn't actually send the email. But the point here is that we got this response over. So the agent created this response and then decided to send it over to this workflow. And so this workflow takes this information. It then knows, hey, you're a specialized email agent. You are going to be sending emails using the incoming information, and then you'll take action down here to actually do so. So that's how we can sort of split up tasks, because then, same thing with research, calendar, or projects agent. They would be receiving different queries based on what we said in our chat trigger. And that's how they get the information. So that's one way to do it, is with an agent, of course. But another cool thing is that once you set up all these little modular aspects of, anytime I need to do the task of like sending an email, or any email actions I can send to this workflow, any CRM actions I can send to this workflow, any research actions I can send to this workflow, you don't have to just link them up to agents. You could also do an execute workflow trigger. Not trigger, an action. So execute workflow, we have the action and we also have the trigger. So when we're doing this, we can hook up this tool to be baked into the logic as well, if it's like a linear logic, where we're saying, okay, if you hit this point, you're going to be executing a workflow. And then it's very similar where in here, you choose what workflow that you want it to send the information to. So, you've got your different options here, and you can also specify sort of different schemas, but that's how that's going to work. That opens up a lot of flexibility, because then you don't have to make these massive workflows. You can just do sort of like little Lego blocks that you connect based on, what you're trying to build, essentially. So that is the really cool aspect of, executing workflow trigger when called by another workflow. That's how that's going to work. And it's really important to understand, because, like I said, it can help you cut down on hallucination. It can help you with task management, because rather than explaining in this guy every single step it needs to take for every single possible scenario, every tool it has, you can just say, hey, you've got 4 agents. You've got email, calendar, research, and projects. So anything related to one of those topics, all you have to do is send the query over to them, and then they'll figure out, based on the incoming information, what I need to do. Because otherwise you're going to over prompt the heck out of this guy, but then your projects agent has more specific prompting about what do I actually do with information coming in. And so that's one of the ways. There's a difference between, this is sort of like a parent-child approach to an agentic workflow. But let's say, because this is variable, whatever we say, it may take different actions. It may go in different orders. But, and this is something I'll talk about more later in depth, but if you wanted to do something more linear, you wouldn't want to do this model, because there's a little more variability. You'd want to do different actions that take place one after the other. So let's say this agent's job was to, every single time, it would first go to the projects agent to create a new project, and then it would do research, and then it would send an email, and then it would send a calendar invite. If it did that order every single time, we would just set up a logic where, give me one sec here. We would just want to set up the logic to show that. So we'd have, project agent, and then we'd have this output get fed into the next agent, which is a research agent. And then we'd have the research agent send the research to the email agent to create an email. And then we'd finally have the email agent send the information over to the calendar agent to make that calendar invite or whatever it is. And so that would happen every single time, every execution. It's going to go like this. But because we don't know the order, we don't know the tasks, sometimes it's just going to be one of them. And let's say we wanted to send an email, which would have been this guy. It would have to still go through all of these other guys, and it just wouldn't make sense. So when you're trying to plan out what's the flow of this workflow that I'm creating, or what's the goal of the interaction that I'm going to have, the input that I'm going to give this thing, and then what do I want the ideal output and functionality to be? If it's going to be the same exact thing, you're going to you're doing customer support, and the first thing you're going to do is ask them for their details, and then you're going to ask them for the dates that they want to stay, and then you're going to ask them for credit card information. It's going to go in that order every time. Feel free to go linear. But otherwise, if you want it to be more conversational, more dynamic, more specified, you would want to look at maybe a parent-child model. So I rambled a little bit, got off topic, but the main idea here is you have different ways to send information between workflows in n8n. And if you build out a tool like this email agent that has a trigger of, when called by another workflow, you can hook this up to, as many workflows as you want. Each execution is going to run independently of each other. So it doesn't matter if you have 7 workflows pointing to this every time you need an email to be sent. The only difference is they're all going to be sending from a particular email because in here you set up your credentials. So, if you've got one email agent for everything that Nate wants to send, but then if you have a executive assistant or something and you want to create them an agent, you'd have to create them a different one with their credentials in here. And hopefully that's something in the future where you can also pass that in, I want this one to be sent from Nate, or and then the tool could handle it. Obviously, the workaround is if you wanted to say you would have one email agent here, Nate's email agent, Phil's email agent, Bob's email agent, Kayla's email agent, Lucy's email agent. That's another workaround, but in the future, I assume that they're going to get a better way in n8n to dynamically put in credentials. But there I go. I'm rambling. I'm going to stop for now on this one. See you guys in the next one.